Right? I mean, I guess. To own, you gotta be people who own homes should be pretty financially stable, especially after the market crash in '08. You don't want to be giving out these ghost loans. Anyways, the most common barrier was a comfortable retirement. Makes sense, and something that about half of middle income Americans over 35 felt they were on track to achieve. It's so hard to say, especially like when you see inflation like now, like this for most of no, this is the highest inflation we've seen since the 80s. So in short, the 80s is when millennials started being born. So millennials haven't experienced this level of inflation ever in their life. So when you're seeing this and you're like, okay, and then like when you lived through, we lived through the pandemic, the panorama, and you saw what, happened though in '08 with people's retirement, then it happens again, even though you're not near retirement age when the pandemic happened as far as millennials, like all that type of stuff. So it's hard to see, like, are you on track for when, for at 35, so let's say again another 25 years, 59 and a half, 60, like, I don't know what's going to happen in 25 years. Like, the first 10 to 15 years of my working career have been insane, right? The early millennials were just graduating college when the market crashed in 2008, and then now you got the back end graduating during the pandemic, and you got the middle, being in middle school, high school during the '08 crash, and then just starting 5 to 10 years or so being their career during the pandemic. So it's like I don't know if we're on track because it's just been so crazy out here, living through 9/11, like it's just been so much stuff, and every generation is like that. But with millennials being on the internet as much as our generation is, but before Gen Z though, so we weren't like always on the internet. There's a lot of stuff. It's like, man, I'm not even gonna sit here and try to act like I know what the future is gonna look like when it's time for me to retire. Like I'm trusting all the various information I've seen out there from retirement, investment, financial experts, fiduciaries, and they say how much I need to put away, and I'm, working to get to that amount. I mean, it's that simple. And if the percentage they got is wrong, then I guess I'll just be up a creek, save more than what they recommend. But it's just, people say anywhere from 10 to 25%. It's like, all right, I'll try to get above 25%, then do the best I can. But it is what it is. Most middle income people lack middle class financial security. Okay. So that's saying people in the 75 to 100K range, what do they meet from the criteria? Americans overall, 35% again, lower income, 16%, middle income, 68K to 203K, 46%, and then upper income, 203 or above, 67%. All right, and then it's breaking down where lower, middle, and upper class people fit from a health insurance standpoint. For health insurance, upper class people making over $203,000, 99% got health insurance. Yep, and the lowest one is being able to, and it's not even the lowest one. I mean, steady job is at 93%, employment, market, pandemic, things like that. Pay for an it's crazy that pay for an emergency fund, $1,000 to pay for an emergency fund. Having the $1,000 for an emergency expense, is at 93%, same as being able to have a steady job. It's like, okay. But yeah, you see being able to retire comfortably, it's like, people really don't know. But it's interesting to see how high these percentages are for people. As you can imagine, for those listening to podcast platforms, as you make more money, you have a higher percentage of saying, yes, you have health insurance. Yes, you're able to save, et cetera, for these 6 points they're looking at for criteria perspective. Let's see. I feel like we're almost wrapping up here. Ooh. Gallup polling last spring found that retirement was Americans' top financial worry. Not their debt. Even for those who can save, retirement planning requires complicated judgments about how long someone expects to live and the future of government support through programs such as Social Security and Medicare. For millennials, definitely Gen Z. Gen Z don't even worry about Social Security. I mean, worried about what the fall is going to be, but they already said Social Security is not going to be there for us. Gen Z, y'all should figure out why you guys pay tax. Why are you paying for tax for something that y'all know is y'all not going to have? But that's another point for me. Maybe another day, another episode. But when it comes to figuring out, when it says different, maybe hard judgments about should you have a 401k or a Roth 401k or IRA, a Roth IRA, traditional IRA, Roth IRA, like how to do that as far as your bucket strategy. For those listening to Money Guys, you got tax deferred, You got stuff you've already paid taxes on, and then you got taxable, right? Those three general buckets. So like a 401k would be tax deferred, traditional. Then you got a Roth IRA would be you've already paid taxes on it, so tax free. And then you got a taxable brokerage account, like a personal brokerage account that you're paying taxes on, throughout the year for dividends, and then as you sell things like that, and no early no penalty for early withdrawals, things like that. We got those three general buckets. Like, okay, yeah, but expecting how long you're gonna live. How long do you plan on living till? My number is 100, so I gotta have enough money to get to 100. Once I get to 100, September 30th, what is that? September 30th, 2093. I'd be good to go. I told my wife, I said, you can leave then too. I said, look, we would have put in over 70 years. I'm good. Once I hit 100, my 100th birthday, I'm good. I'm good. Jesus has not come back then, or whatever y'all believe in. But if Jesus has not come back then, I'm good. I'm good once I get to my 100th birthday. But plan how long you want to live. I mean, it's not, and again, let's be very clear. Most people, especially in the United States of America, are not going to hit 100. I think the age is around from like 77 to 80, in that range. Maybe that's the whole planet. But 100 is most humans do not live to be 100. So this planet you're going to be live to around that age. And then the one thing too is these markers. I said, how much do we think we're going to talk about debt on here? We have not, I believe, talked about debt one time, which is crazy for the type of topics that I, when I say prefer, but I generally talk about. Debt has not been mentioned one time. When it comes to retirement, having debt when you retire, it's gotta be off the table. Again, I'd be hard pressed for you to show me an investment professional, a fiduciary on the financial, someone in the financial world to say that for those who want to do the quote unquote traditional route and have retirement based accounts, retire the quote unquote traditional way, how your mortgage payment is part of what you need to pay for when you're taking your distributions from your retirement. No, when you retire, what do? You lose your health care coverage. Now you can't get Medicare, but you might want to get some marketplace plan that isn't Medicare. That stuff is expensive. All right, and then you're out of the sandwich generation. But I remember I talked about this before, and I might be saying it more often now because I have a kid. But then if you're grandparents, you might be great grandparents, right? And most people, just by simple logic, have more grandkids than they have kids, and they have more great grandkids than they have grandkids. You know what I mean? Just how that math works. So I mean, just think about all the stuff that you end up having to pay for, and then again, health care. If you gotta get it put into a home, right? Like you can't take care of yourself, but you're not quote unquote, dying, right? You just need someone to take care of you. All that stuff has to be equated to it. Your future planning. Don't plan for the government supporting you, by the way. Anyways, the de facto land